This video is going to go viral. I have to be prepared for the people I'm talking about to see this. And I am, because I choose entertainment over dignity every time. So I've been stalking all my exes and everybody I've ever dated and everybody they've ever dated for my entire life. As soon as I realized you could do that, I don't know, 10 years ago, I got on that, and every time I'm on the toilet, I'm stalking people. And sometimes you find like an exciting detail that you tell your friends, and it's like something to talk about, right? If you don't relate to this, just scroll, honestly, because I don't have time for anybody that's not into this kind of innocent drama. What I've noticed is that people close their profile, open their profile, blah, 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 and I'm like, oh, what's that? Is that? And I think it's just for me, right? I'm like, oh, they didn't want me to see this. Oh, they did want me to see this. So here's what I discovered the other day. My first boyfriend's girlfriend's profile has been closed forever. I've lost her as a customer. No point stalking her anymore. Then one day I'm sitting on the toilet. I type in someone else's name and her name comes up underneath. I click on it. Profile's open. Oh, her and my ex got engaged. Oh. I saw that. I go, this is why we do the work that we do. This is why I never gave up. That I could get this information to the group chat. Thank me for your service. And this is the second time I found out that one of my girlfriend's exes got engaged through vigorous stalking. And if I don't look, who's gonna tell you? If I don't tell you, then what are we gonna talk about? This one was particularly juicy because she opened her profile for this. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, she opened her profile, so I could see this. And now it's closed, and now it's closed. And you know what's funny? This is the funniest part of this whole thing. I think I caught this chick in some sort of pathetic mind game, but who's the biggest loser here? It's me for knowing. You can't really diss someone for being like, oh, you opened your profile and then closed it a week later. Why do I know that? Oh, because I look all the time. I've been looking for 10 fucking years. You never get old. I'll love you forever. Anyway, congratulations to them. Fuck, I saw. I approve. And you know what's crazy about that too? When this boyfriend first broke up with me, the first thing I said to everyone, I was like, do you think he'll marry her? And everyone's like, what? Like, no. And I was like, do you promise he won't marry her? And everybody's like, yeah, he's 19. He's not gonna marry. He married her. My God, like it worked. Are you glad? Okay, now aren't you glad that I saw that so I could tell you that you won't care if someone, okay, do you see how I'm trying to justify my fucking sick habit? But you know what? You shouldn't care also separately if someone you dated leaves you for a girl and they get married. You won't, whatever. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Ooh, gotta go.
My stalker came back into work. So if you didn't see my other story time, I had a stalker and he came in literally for weeks on end to every single shift I worked. And he asked my number multiple times. Then once I told him I was 17, he backed off a little bit. And then I hadn't really seen him since. Like every time he comes into calls, like he didn't come through my register. So I was like, perfect. He got it. That like I was 17 and just unavailable to him. Unavailable to anyone. But anyways, so he comes in. This was the other day, and I completely just haven't. What is under my? I haven't had time to do a story time, so I'll do it now. So he comes in again, and he comes to my register. So this is literally just after I posted the stalker story time as well. So I was like, no fucking way, he's coming through my register again now. Like just after I posted this. So I'm doing this lady's like really big, like, groceries, like she's got a huge shop. So I'm doing hers, and then I see someone like come up to the end of the register to do another, like to be the next customer. So I look up and it's him. I make eye contact with him. He's standing there like this, and I was like, sick. And I just keep doing this lady's thing, and I was like, oh my God, what the hell? And I'm like scanning all of her stuff. I finished with that, and he's like, hey, how are you? And I was like, I'm good, how are you? Like, haven't seen you in a while. And he was like, yeah, it has been a while, like, And I was trying to get this done snappy and quick. He had literally 5 items, no reason to wait behind that girl with all of the groceries, okay? Not a single reason for him to wait that long. Like, could have gone through self-serve, right? Anyways, I finished it up, blah, blah, blah. He's telling me about his dog again. And I'm like, whatever, he could just want to have a chat. And then he stays there and keeps talking after I finish, after he's paid, after he's gotten his receipt. He stays there, and I was like, what is this? Like, this is really odd. My cat's just come in. And then someone else comes behind him, so he has to leave, obviously, because I've got another customer. So as this next lady comes through, he grabs his bag, he grabs his receipt, and he's like, oh, well, goodbye, TikTok Ella, and walks off. Oh, so you've just seen the TikTok that I've made about you being an absolute creep. You're probably watching this right now because I don't remember your name. What do you mean, TikTok Ella? Like, I'm actually scared. I'm not scared. Like, he's not gonna do anything. He doesn't know where I live or anything, but like, he's seen the TikTok I made about him. Like, that's so embarrassing. But also, like, should have been a little bit of a creep in the first place. And why did you come through again after I've made that story saying you were a creep? And why are you bringing attention to the fact that you follow my TikTok? Like, imagine I did remember his name. I would block him right now, but I don't remember his name. Anyways, I hope you're seeing this right now.
One of my biggest fears unfortunately became a reality. Get ready with me, story time. Over 5 years ago, I actually used to work at a grocery store in my city. At this job, I first started off as a grocery bagger, and then I moved my way up to be a GM, which is a general merchandiser. So I basically restock products, and then I shortly made my way to becoming a clerk, which is another word or term for cashier. I do want to mention, when I became a clerk or a cashier, I was working at that job for maybe like a year. I was about to hit like a year. In my opinion, when you work at a grocery store or somewhere where you're helping out customers, kind of start to get a feel of who your regular customers are. It was a weekday and I was working in the afternoon, and this guy came in my line. And again, remember I said I do recognize regulars? Well, I just knew that this guy wasn't a regular. At least I had never seen him. So this older man comes into my line, and in my opinion, he's one of those guys that if I were to see out on the streets, I would probably like turn the other way. Not even like that I'm judging the way he looks. It's just like the way he was like looking at me, like it was an evil look, if that makes sense. Like, it was scary. Like, me being alone and I see that, I'm running the other way. This man is next in my line. He had one item. He asked me like the most like random question. He's like, hey, do you know where this item is? And I was just like, oh, it's like right behind you. I don't know, it was just like weird. It's like he knew, but he still wanted to ask me. And then the second weird question that he asked me was, what is my name? And if you work at a grocery store, you're always gonna have a name badge, so it was just weird that he asked me for my name. I do understand if you want to get to know me and you are a regular, you're going to become a regular at the store, you kind of just want to have a conversation. But the way he asked me for my name wasn't just like a normal conversation. It was kind of like, oh, I want to investigate you, who are you, one of those type of conversations. Kind of just let it be, and I was like, all right, Ash, just move on, just scan his order and get him out of here. He was the type of like customer where he would just like look at you, scan his order, like he would just like stare you down. And personally, when I go to a grocery store, I don't even like look at the cashier. If I do, I'll like glance at her, but nothing where I'm like staring at her, like creeping her out. Anyway, so that guy leaves, and then later on in the night, I think I was working like a 12 to 9, and I remember this guy came around like 9 o'clock, almost time for like me to clock out. And one of the girls comes up to me and says, hey, like, there's this guy, he's looking for you. And I was like, who? Like, do I know who he is? And she was like, I'm not sure, but like he was describing somebody and the only person that fits the description is you. And I was like, that's a little bit weird. Also, I do want to mention that I was in the break room at this time when she told me that this guy was like looking for me. Me being me, I was like, who's this person? I want to go see who it is. But I'm a very observant person. I'm also a very like paranoid person, so I was being sneaky about it. I would kind of just like peek a little bit, or I would go up to like the office and I would kind of try to see from the office out to the store. Sure enough, when I spot this man, I was like, dude, there's no way this is the guy that I had the weird encounter with earlier in the day. Okay, like that's weird. Why is he asking for me? Like, I'm not getting good vibes off of him. I felt very uncomfortable, and I feel like one of like my biggest fears is always like having a stalker. I feel like that's just any girl's fear, is having a stalker, right? I refused to go back out on the floor, and he ended up leaving. And tell me why the next day he comes back and I'm at the register, and one of the girls comes up to me and she was like, hey, like, I think that guy is back. I recognize his car. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, that guy who asked about you, he was like, I don't think he's walked in. Have you seen him? And I was like, no, I haven't seen him yet. Why? She's like, okay, I'm going to switch spots with you. You go hide. And I was like, oh my God, like, there's no way this is this is my reality right now. So thankfully she let me out of the register. I ended up going in the very back to like the milk box area, and there's also a medicine room. So I literally hid in the medicine room, and I was like, bro, there's like no way that I have a stalker right now. Like, what in the actual fuck? Before my coworker actually let me out, she told me to stay nearby the back phone in case he leaves, that way I can come back out. And I was like, okay, cool. So I remember she ended up calling the phone, and I answered, and she was like, hey, like this guy's looking for you again. And I was like, are you serious? And she was like, yeah, like he's looking for you, and I don't feel like he's looking for you for a good reason. It's like, because it's been an hour and he's still in the store and he still hasn't bought anything. She was like, usually if you're gonna be in the store for this long, you at least have a cart full of groceries. I'm gonna probably have to wait until after closing for this like man to leave, or until I'm able to leave. So to keep my mind busy, I ended up leaving the medicine room, and I went to the milk box, which honestly is still in the back, but when it's in this corner and the milk box is on the other side. And so I just started filling up milk, because I was like, I'm gonna be back here, let me at least help the closer out. I'm filling the milk up, and I just see like a hand right there, like grabbing milk or faking that he's gonna grab a milk. And I was like, bro, there's no way this is my stalker. And so I look, and sure enough, it was him. And I was like, oh, hell no. So I literally left the milk box area, and I went back to the medicine cabinet or the medicine room, and I just stood there. I was really hiding in between boxes. I think I even have a Snapchat. I might insert it if I do find it, of me literally hiding in the milk box. I was like, bro, I can't believe this is my reality right now. But at this point, it was already closing time, and we closed the grocery store at 11 o'clock. I was supposed to clock out at 9 o'clock, and tell me why I did not leave the grocery store until almost 12 in the morning. I left that late because this man's car was still in the parking lot. He had one of those car vehicles where, like, you know, when somebody passes away, they have like that certain type of vehicle they put like the casket in and the person in. Yeah, he had one of those. Yeah, when I seen that he had that type of car, I was like, oh hell, I'm not about to walk out, and the last thing I need is for him to know what kind of car I drive. This guy finally leaves, and then I end up leaving as well. As I'm on my way home, I decided that I wanted to go to the gym, and the gym to my job was only like 3 minutes away. It was over the bridge. I walked into the gym, and I went to the squat rack, and tell me why I seen my stalker at the gym. Welcome to part 2 of the time I had a stalker. If you have not watched part 1, I highly recommend you to go watch that video first. That way you guys can get a clear understanding of what exactly is going on. But let's get started. At this point, I am at the gym, and I did arrive to the gym. I made sure that that specific car wasn't there. I did see in the comments you guys left that he drives a hearse. Yes, he does drive a hearse. That's the type of car that he drove. I just couldn't think of the name at the moment when I was saying the story time. I would drop a picture right here of what that car looks like. So imagine having a stalker and he drives this. Of course you would be creeped out like I was. I didn't see his car at the parking lot of the gym, and neither the shopping center, so I ended up getting down. I thought the coast was clear. Keep in mind, at this point, it was roughly 12:30 in the morning, and I was just going about my night. I just went through this situation. Let me at least go to the gym so I can let all of this out. The gym has always been my safe spot, so that is the place that I ran to. Particular night, I was doing legs. I make my way to the squat rack, and then after the squat rack, I ended up going to like the back extensions, and the back extensions at this gym was in this corner, whereas the squat rack was on this side. So I kind of made my way to the other side. I was about to do the back extensions. I freaking see my stalker, and him and I made eye contact, and I was like, dude, there's absolutely no way that this man is at the gym. First of all, I've never even seen him at the gym. I usually go at different times, so I just knew that if this guy was a regular at the gym, then I would have recognized him already. And because I knew that he was already stalking me and constantly asking for me, I just knew that he wasn't at the gym to work out. I need to stop working out, and I need to make a plan. I ended up leaving the back extension machine thingy, and then I ended up grabbing some dumbbells. I'm gonna go to the mirror and see what his next move is. I also wasn't doing full sets. I was doing squats. After I was done with that, I noticed that he ended up grabbing the 5-pound weights, and he ended up going to like a section nearby me, but still a little bit distant. Let me do one more set, and then I'm going to leave. So I did one more set of those squats, and then I remember I ended up leaving to the Stairmaster. And tell me why. He only did literally like one set, and then he ended up putting his 5-pound weights away, and then he was done. Why is it that whenever I'm done with my reps, he's suddenly done too, and he just started? Like, okay, I'm putting 2 and 2 together that he's actually here for me. I also feel like what gave it away was the fact that him and I made eye contact more than 3 times at the gym. And usually I don't make eye contact with anybody at the gym. Everyone just kind of minds their business. So the fact that this man just kept staring at me and was finishing reps whenever I was finishing reps, like, dude, if I were to start a set and I would be done with it, suddenly he would be done with it too, and he had just started. Like, it just made absolutely no sense. So like I said, I ended up going to the Stairmaster. I'm at least going to be here for maybe like 2 minutes, and let's see what his next move is. So sure enough, this man goes to the little bicycle, and I was like, are you serious? Like, this man just started this other new set, and now he put his stuff down because he didn't want to lose me, and he went to the bicycle, which is literally like nearby the Stairmaster. So the Stairmaster is right here, and then maybe I would say the bicycle like machine is like 10 feet away. So he was still nearby me. Basically told myself, I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay on this machine for at least 5 extra minutes and let's see what he does. He ended up leaving. I honestly lost track that I had a stalker. I was just so in tune with my workout because of everything that was going on. I just kind of wanted to zone everything out, which is my fault, but also too, it's just like, damn, I don't want to let this man control my life. So I stopped paying attention to him, and of course, because I didn't pay attention to him anymore, I lost him. I don't see him anymore. Maybe he left. Let me go to the restroom. And so after I was done, I went to the restroom. Before I go to the restroom, I'm gonna have my phone out and I'm gonna be recording. So I'm gonna walk and have my phone out like this. If he's actually in the restroom, my recording will dictate and determine if he was actually there for me. I'm going to the restroom, not knowing that he's there, but I'm just assuming at this point that he's at the restroom because he obviously was nowhere to be found in this building. And so I'm walking to the restroom, and I swear to you, he's walking out of the restroom and I'm walking inside of like the little lobby, and I was like, oh my god, like, please. Continue walking into the girls' restroom / locker room, but this time when I spotted him, I made sure that I was looking down. So especially because I knew that I was recording, so whatever I didn't see, my phone was going to capture. Tell me why I go into the restroom, I replay the video, and this man is walking out and just staring at me. Like, he made eye contact with my phone camera. I'm gonna try to insert the clip if I do have the video, but it was so scary. I was like, okay, at this point, it just confirmed to me that he is here for me, because this man was like just staring at my camera for like 10 plus seconds until I'm walking in and he's walking out. And again, if I'm going to the gym and I make eye contact with someone, I'm gonna just make eye contact with someone and then I'm gonna look away. I'm not gonna just stare at them. At this point, I'm paranoid as hell. And I feel like the craziest part and the most scariest part to me was the fact that I didn't see his car. So where the heck did he park? Come to find out, he ended up parking like on the side, like on the corner. Like, there wasn't even a parking spot over there, but he ended up parking over there. So obviously I wasn't gonna see his car. I ended up staying in the restroom for 20 minutes, and then I finally walked out because I was like, dude, I have to go home. Like, there's no way I'm gonna stay the whole night at the gym. And so I grew some balls, I walked out, and then I went straight to the front desk, and thankfully there was a guy at the front desk, and I basically told him, I was like, hey, did some old guy walk out? He looks like this. And he said, yeah, he walked out maybe 20 minutes ago. And I was like, okay, perfect. Do you mind seeing if this specific car is outside, or if you see him, because I think he's my stalker. He was like, if you want, I can walk you to your car. You can just chill here for a little bit. So he went to go check outside. His car wasn't there. And then I ended up just staying at the gym for another like 10 minutes. And then he offered, he was like, do you want me to walk you to your car? Like, I'll make sure you're in your car and you're actually driving off. And I was like, yeah, that'll mean a lot to me. So thankfully he did that. W to him, because he saved my day. And then I just ended up going home. I took the freeway. I did continue going to work because the person that I am, I was like, there's no way that I'm gonna let this man know that I'm scared of him. But since that incident, I honestly stopped seeing him. Never see his car there. So I don't know if they ended up telling him something at my job, or he just kind of noticed that I wasn't there anymore. I feel like also the main reason he kind of assumed that I stopped working there was because they ended up switching me to a morning shift. So I really wasn't there in the afternoon. There was one time where I was working in the morning, I seen his car at the parking lot, and if I see his car there, for the most part, like, a lot of my coworkers already knew, my managers already knew. So whenever they would see his car, they would just tell me, Ash, go to the back. So again, if he were to walk in, he would never see me. After, I just ended up quitting because I got a better job opportunity. So I really haven't seen him. I did see a comment, people were asking me if I worked at Stater Brothers. Yes, it was the Stater Brothers. Now that specific Stater Brothers is closed, I honestly never seen this man ever again. One, I'm never really around that side of town anymore. And two, I remember when I quit, I still went to shop at that Stater Brothers, and a lot of my coworkers were telling me that he just never came anymore. So I feel like he kind of just left, and I don't know what he did or where he's at or if he's still alive, but I'm glad that I don't have him as my stalker. I did see a question when someone said, why didn't you report it to security or to the police? I feel like nowadays you have to just have so much evidence for a police. Like, I did tell the police and he was like, oh, that's just not enough evidence. Police nowadays just take action when something actually happens versus when you're kind of warning them and giving them a heads up that this situation is going on. So police never did anything about it. Security, they don't really take their job seriously. My managers couldn't really do anything, but they did know about the situation. They were definitely on my side. They were keeping me safe. But again, like, if police couldn't do anything about it, what really can my managers do other than the fact that they would take me out of the register or tell me to go hide? So they did do their part, which I'm super, super grateful for. That is the end of my story time of the time that I had a stalker, unfortunately.
Get ready with me while I talk about my stalker story. I've honestly been waiting like 2 years to tell this story because it was kind of scary. We didn't want this person to see this video or find where we were, but I think it's been long enough now to talk about it. Also, ignore my self-tan hands. Really, I haven't figured it out yet, but we're working on it. This started back in 2021, September, end of summer. I just started dating my boyfriend. We were sitting on the couch, drinking wine, just made some dinner, and we heard the doorbell ring. My boyfriend got up to answer the door. We weren't expecting anyone, so it was a little weird. He answered the door, and I just hear this female voice talking. I looked around the corner because I thought it was kind of weird. There was this lady in her 30s, it looked like. She was wearing a black tight dress and really tall heels. This lady had a bottle of tequila in her hand, and she handed it to my boyfriend, and she was like, I'm so sorry for the noise last night. I live in the unit directly below you. We were doing construction, and I just wanted to bring this bottle of tequila to say sorry if it disturbed you guys at all. We were confused because we didn't hear any noise the night before. We were like, okay, it's fine. Like, thank you so much. It's okay, don't worry about it. A few days go by. It's morning time, really early in the morning. We are just waking up, getting ready for work, and we hear the doorbell ring again. My boyfriend's roommate answered the door. I heard a bunch of commotion. So I open the door and I look outside and I see my boyfriend's roommate like shoving the door closed on this lady. So obviously it was the same lady as before. She had showed up at 8 in the morning, rang the doorbell, and she was wearing nothing but a towel, like completely naked in a bath towel with her hair wet. And she was trying to come into the apartment. She was like, who's there? Is it just you guys? Is it just you guys? And he was like, yeah, like what, can we help you? Like, what are you doing? And she tried to shove her way into the apartment, and my boyfriend's roommate had to slam the door on her and basically yell at her to get out. We didn't really know what to think of it. We thought maybe she thought they were cute and was trying to shoot her shot, and then she was pissed that they wouldn't let her in or something. We kind of just like let it go at the time. About a month goes by. Me and my boyfriend are getting ready to leave to go get sushi. We open the door and we look down, and there's a folded up piece of paper on the doormat. We pick up the piece of paper, and it is literally Morse code. A piece of paper with sentences on it, with punctuation, with lines and dots. I literally have a photo of it. Like, it was a Morse code note. I took pictures and videos of this entire ordeal that I can post, maybe. There's honestly so much to this story, so this is like a summarized version, but yeah. So on the way to sushi, I'm like looking up Morse code on my phone, and I'm like deciphering this note. I finally got the whole thing decoded, and it said, who are you and what exactly do you want from me? I'll be back in 30 minutes. We didn't really know what to do, so obviously we went to dinner. We were kind of expecting that when we got back there would be another one, and there was. Morse code note number 2. If you truly want me, call me. I no longer trust you. We obviously had no idea who this person was, so we weren't responding to the Morse code notes, but it basically became a series of Morse code notes from this lady. She kept leaving them at the door. This was like a week-long thing. Every night she would leave a new one. It would always happen at like 6 or 7 p.m. Like, here's another one. I don't understand. I will accept Tony, Leandro, or David. They need to call me today. And then just like some random stuff at the bottom. And then there's 3 more. The next one said, are they dead? I don't care if they moved on. I want to make sure they are alive and well, exclamation point, question mark. As for the other gentleman, I am not a prostitute. I need to get to know them first, nor your slave. Also, throughout this whole thing, kind of left out this part, she would come to the door and ring the doorbell over and over and over again. Ding, 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 ding. We wouldn't even answer the door. Like, we were scared of her, so we wouldn't even open the door. Most of the time we would just stay and hide and be quiet. She would ring the doorbell over and over and over again, yell stuff through the door, and leave these notes. She randomly left a note that had the alphabet on it, and then when we opened it, she stopped using Morse code, and she actually wrote in English this time. I don't understand, and unless you are specific on terms and whom you're suggesting, I don't get it, so I won't choose. FYI, you don't own me, and don't think for a minute that I forgot you were trying to ruin me. How can I ever trust you? P.S. The problem in my dreams was that. No open borders. Also, the way she was writing in that looked like someone who is clearly frantic, like it was scary. At this point, we know that we're dealing with someone who clearly has mental health issues. You never know what someone's capable of, so we didn't want to make the situation worse. So we kept ignoring it and leaving it alone. This whole thing basically started a series of months. This lasted like over a year. She would bang up on her ceiling at us with a broom at all hours of the night, like in morning times, night times. But there was a period of time where she would come every single night and ring the doorbell over and over and over again. Here is a clip of how she would ring the doorbell when she would go crazy. I honestly have so many videos of that I can show a different time. But yeah, at this point, we decided to call the cops, told them what was going on. We asked them to come down and tell her to please leave us alone. Submitted a police report. We showed them all the notes and everything. And they would come down and they said that they would go knock on her door, but if she didn't answer, they couldn't do anything about it. We had called the cops multiple times because this kept happening. Even when they would come, like nothing would change. She would still do it again and they would do nothing really about it. They would say, we can't help you guys until she actually does something to hurt someone. One of the last interactions that we had with her, she came to the door, did the ringing the doorbell thing again. At this point, we would open the window, the kitchen window, because we could see it out by the door. We'd open the kitchen window and be like, please leave us alone, go away, like leave us alone. We would yell for help from the neighbors, being like, help, this lady is like harassing us. One of the last interactions that we had with her before we moved out and everything, she came to the window and she told us that she thought that we were paid actors and that we sent paid actors to her door. The cops were paid actors. We were paid actors. And that we sent paid actors to her door to harass her. The whole time, she told us that we were harassing her and we needed to leave her alone. She told the cops that we were harassing her. We needed to leave her alone. Clearly, she was just mentally ill, which we understand, but also we were being harassed, so it was a lot. Here is a clip of one of the last times how violent she got with ringing our doorbell. It was bad. It was really bad. She's hiding. Oh my god. So, yeah. That's that. I can honestly talk about this for so long. I have so many videos. I have a whole album in my phone called Stalker that has every video and all the info about this, so I could talk about it forever. So yeah, let me know if you want a part 2 of my stalker story, but that's pretty much the summed up version.
Y'all, he's back. It has been almost a year since I've had an encounter with the homeless man who would sit in my back alley, stare into my windows, and yank it. Since this whole encounter, I've got like those privacy film on my bathroom windows. I've got curtains in my bedroom. I'm trying to protect me and my own, okay? And ever since I did that, I never saw him again. I really thought me covering my shit up would deter him from coming back, okay? I was so ignorant because last Thursday around 10 p.m. I just got off FaceTime with some of my girlfriends and I go into the bathroom and I'm about to take a shower. My bathroom overlooks the alley and I'm not on the first floor, okay? So I'm a few floors up. So if you are trying to look into my bathroom, you can't see anything. I have the privacy film up. You can see that a light is on. You might be able to see movement, but you can't see anything because it's like blurred on the windows. And same for vice versa. I can't really see anything that's going on in the alley, but I can see movement. So I'm in the bathroom. I'm getting ready to get in the shower. I'm taking my earrings out. And out of the corner of my eye, in the alleyway, I see a spark, almost like a little flame. And it's a consistent flame. It doesn't go away. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And the flame is small. It's like somebody had lit something up and was like smoking it. So I'm kind of like, what's going on? Is somebody setting a fire in my alley? Do I gotta evacuate? So I go to my bedroom. My bedroom does not have the privacy film. It just has curtains. And immediately I open the curtains and I see the shadow of a bike. Now, if you're familiar with my last story, the homeless guy who would come and you doink it had a bike. So all of a sudden my heart drops, you got like, oh God, it's almost like a trauma response for me seeing that bike. I was like, no. He's fucking back, okay? And so immediately I run to the bathroom, I shut the light off, I turn the light off in my bedroom, I turn the shower off, and I'm in pitch black. I don't even want him to know that I am home, that I'm up, and we all know what he does when he knows that I'm home, okay? So I go into my bedroom and I'm army crawling. I'm not even kidding, I'm crawling in my bedroom. I don't want him to see anything, okay? And I slightly move the curtain and he's there. He is camping out. He's got his bike, he's got a wagon, and he's fully in his sleeping bag, laying horizontal, sparking up. I don't know what he was smoking, meth, weed, I don't really know. Mind you, he's laying there with his substance and he is just staring in my bathroom window, and he's kind of like moving his neck, trying to see, because like I said, I'm not on the first floor, I'm a few floors up, so you have to really intentionally be looking to try to even like look into my bathroom, and you're not gonna see nothing because I got the fucking privacy film. But he's still like, I can just see him like extending and trying to look and whatever. And so I'm freaked out. Immediately I'm freaked out. I'm like, motherfucker, he's back. Even if he can't see anything, just knowing that he's outside of my apartment and like trying to see me, I'm like, I don't know what this man is capable of. Obviously he has issues. So like, is his next step to like throw a rock at the window? Like, what is this dude doing? So immediately I text my landlord. I said, he's back. I said, the guy from last year, he's back. He's laying outside. He's staring into my window, blah, 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 blah. And my landlord was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Me and my wife are home, because mind you, they live in the same like building as me, or like unit. And he was like, we're home. I'm calling the cops right now. So I'm on edge, okay? I can't take a shower, I can't go into the bathroom, just because, like I said, even if he can't see anything, just knowing that he's like looking up and like trying to is fucking scary. And being in the shower is like such a vulnerable thing. I'm like, I don't know, what if he tries to like break in while I'm mid shower, bro? So I'm sitting in my home in pitch black. I didn't have a single light on because I was like, I want him to think that I'm like, I'm out for the count. I'm not gonna be up the rest of the night. There's nothing to look at. Skedaddle. I'm sitting, it's pitch black. I'm sitting in silence. I'm like watching TikToks, but I wanted to make sure that like nothing was happening. He wasn't trying to like climb up walls or shit, or like try to get me, okay? So I'm sitting in silence. I'm like scrolling on TikTok, and then I hear a vehicle coming. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God. So I look out the window and 2 cop cars came and drove by. And of course, he had already left. Now, honestly, I was impressed because this time the cops actually came. I think I've called the cops on this guy like 4 times before and they never showed. This time they brought 2. Oh God. So the rest of the night I can't sleep, just because like knowing he can't see anything and knowing that I'm a few floors up, like I'm like, okay, I'm fine, but just it's scary as a woman knowing that somebody is intentionally outside of your apartment, like waiting to like see you, or I don't know what he's capable of, okay? Skip to the next morning. It's around 11 a.m. the next day, and I had the day off, so I was heading to the gym. So I'm in the bathroom, and I'm just like, you know, putting my hair up in a ponytail, getting ready, and of course, out of the corner of my eye, I see movement. And this time it's like a person. I can tell it's a person, and they're just moving like this. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm telling you, like, my alleyway does not get a lot of foot traffic, so very odd for there to be like 2 things within 24 hours that I see somebody in my alleyway. So immediately, like, my heart drops, and I'm like, motherfucker, if he's back. So I go into my bedroom and I peek behind my curtains to see if it's him. He's back. And this time he's standing, trying to like get a peek into my bathroom window, but obviously it's not working because I have the privacy film, bro. But he saw that my light was on. And so he's just standing and he's kind of like peeking, trying to look. This time I notice he has his bike, he has a wagon, and he has a dog. And I did take a picture of him because I was like, I need proof. And so he just camped out there, sat and stared into my window for 30 minutes. And I was like, stop. And when I told my last story, I mentioned that I thought there was 2 separate homeless people who were looking into my window because one had a wagon and one had a bike. I now realize it was him the whole time. It's always only been him because he had both this time. He had the wagon and the bike. The dog was a new addition. I was like, That little thing deserves better than this pervy ass, bro. Get him out of here. At this point, I'm pissed because I'm like, it's been 24 hours and you are back. You're back. So I call the police immediately. And I'm like trying to keep my calm, but at this point, I'm like, the tears are welling and I'm scared. I'm fucking scared, okay? So I call the police. I tell them that he's out there, yada, yada, yada. Guess what? They actually came again, okay? And this time when they pulled up, they actually caught him. But literally all he did was he drove by, rolled his window down, and was like, hey man, you gotta get out of here. And the guy was like, okay. Got up, got his dog, wagon, bike, skedaddled. So I'm still on edge, but I go back to the bathroom because I'm like still getting ready. I'm like doing my hair, whatever. And then all of a sudden in the alley, I hear somebody like sprinting. Like, you know the sound of like rocks when somebody's sprinting? I hear somebody sprinting. And who do you think was sprinting? This motherfucker, okay? He sprints back like he almost forgot something and was like looking around like this. And I was like, what is he doing? What is he doing? And he's just like doing the same thing where I see the movement in there and he's just like looking around, whatever. And then he walks away. And you think the story ends there? Well, yesterday morning, I was getting ready for work around 8 a.m. I'm in the bathroom doing my makeup. And of course, out of the corner of my eye, I see in my window, there is movement. Same thing, somebody just standing like this. I see that they're moving back and forth, trying to peek into my bathroom window. And he obviously knew I was in there because I had my light on. Immediately, I grab my phone. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm dialing 911 and I go into my bedroom to like look through the curtain to make sure it's him. I'm like, I'm not trying to have like an innocent bystander have the cops called on them. So I go into my bedroom and I look through the curtain and make sure it's him. Oh, guess who's got their out yanking it? And he brought no wagon, no bike, no dog, nothing. He left them somewhere and he said, I gotta go take care of business in this alleyway, all right? So I'm frantic. I'm on the phone with the police. I'm like, I have called y'all about 6 times about this guy. Like, what can I do next? Because I'm freaking. So she was like, ma'am, we'll send somebody out. Like, can you give us a description? I was like, I will give you the same description I gave you every time because I am not gonna fucking look at him back there again, dude. So at this point, I gotta leave for work. So I'm like, they can deal. So I turn off all the lights in my house, I lock the door, and I leave for work. On my way to work, I get a call back from the police saying that by the time they got there, he was gone. Isn't that just convenient? So I asked him, I was like, listen, I've called you guys about this guy like 6 times. I'm really scared. He keeps doing the same shit. Like, what can I do? And he basically told me, like, you can install like a motion sensor light in your alleyway to maybe deter him, or maybe like security cameras, or I don't know. So I talked to my landlord. He's gonna get the light installed. And in the meantime, I'm getting blackout curtains installed in my bathroom and I'm fucking moving. I can't do this anymore. I'm so scared all the time. I have no idea what this guy is capable of and I honestly don't want to know. So I'm getting out.
Guys, I experienced one of the scariest nights of my life last night and I actually wasn't going to speak about it, but I feel like I should because it might just save someone's life. So this pretty much started last night at about 9:30 p.m. when I went to Woolies to do some grocery shopping. And this particular store closes at 10 o'clock, so I only had about half an hour to get in and out. So I made my way in and I started in the fruit and veg section. And as I was picking out some bananas, I looked up and there was a guy there and he was also picking out some veggies. And he looked over at me and he smiled. So then I smiled back because, you know, just to be polite. I went about my business and I continued with my shopping, and then I ended up in the meal prep section. I was looking through meal preps and I was just reading through the ingredients and the calories, and that's when I look up and I noticed the guy again, and this time he's giving me a weird look. I thought initially that it may have been a look of recognition. I thought, okay, maybe this guy recognizes me. That's a bit embarrassing. I continued my shopping. I went from aisle to aisle. And then it was about 10:02 and I realized that the store's actually closed, so I need to get out of there. And that's when I made it to the cash register and I was heading out to pay for my stuff when a staff member approached me. I was like, oh, this is literally my worst nightmare because I'm always so paranoid about being accused of theft. So I thought this lady is going to accuse me of stealing something because I was actually in one of the aisles for a bit too long and it may have looked suspicious. So she's like, excuse me, come over here, please. So I was like, oh my God, how embarrassing. She's going to ask to search me or she's going to say that like you're stealing. So she's whispering at me and she's like, excuse me, sister, please come here, please. So I was like, is everything okay? She's like, I need to talk to you. So she pulls me over to the side and she's like, sister, do you know that man in the grey hoodie? And I look up, I was like, what man? And she's like, that man over there. And this guy, like, it was the guy that smiled at me. when I had first entered the store. And I was like, no, I don't know who that is. Why are you asking? And she's like, because me and one of my co-workers have noticed that this guy has been stalking you for the past 30 minutes. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, he's been following you very suspiciously from aisle to aisle for the past 30 minutes. He's been lurking from a distance and we noticed him and we feel extremely uncomfortable for you. I was like, what the hell? I noticed him and I thought he was a bit creepy, but I just thought maybe he recognized me and or maybe he was interested or something like that, because he kept smiling at me and he kept making eye contact and kept giving me these weird looks. But I didn't know the guy. I've never seen him in my life. And she's like, yeah, he's been stalking you. I was like, shit, that's creepy. She's like, all right, what you're going to do is pay for your stuff and don't leave. Stay in the store. She's like, I'll organize for one of the male staff members to walk you out to your car. I was like, okay, thanks, sister. So I paid for my stuff and I waited around while they organized someone to walk me out. Now, as I'm waiting for them to get a staff member to walk me out, that guy, he's now exiting the store. And what I notice is so weird, like borderline sinister, but the guy's already purchased his stuff. So he's paid for his stuff, I don't know however long ago, but he paid for his stuff and he left the stuff outside. So the stuff were outside, they weren't even in the store. And then he went back in to continue stalking me. So while he was stalking me, he wasn't shopping. He'd already purchased his stuff maybe an hour before or half an hour before or however long he was in there. He'd already purchased the stuff. He'd left them outside and then he came back into the store to continue to follow me from aisle to aisle. And had this woman and her male co-worker not noticed that he was following me, I would have been none the wiser. So anyways, he exits the store, he picks up his stuff and he starts running. He literally just disappears. He starts running and he disappears. And I think it's because all of the staff members at this point had gathered around the store, one because it was closing, but because they were discussing the man that was stalking me, because they had all become aware of him. And I think they let each other know through a PDT or something. So he grabs his stuff and he hightails it out of there. And I'm waiting for them to organize for a male to take me out to my car. So then they get a male co-worker and he's like, I'm going to walk you out to your car. He walks me out to my car and I get to my car. He's like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, thank you so much. So I hop into my car, lock my doors and I start my car. And at that point, I look over and I see the guy that was stalking me. He's in a ute. It could have been like a Hilux or a Trident with one of those stainless canopies on the back, the work canopies on the tray. And he puts on his spotlights to try and blind me. I was like, what the hell? That's that guy. Oh my God, he's there. And then he literally just speeds out of the complex. He just speeds off and he drives away. So I was like, oh, alhamdulillah, he's gone. But little do I know, he wasn't actually gone. Now, when you exit the complex, there's a roundabout on the road right outside this shopping centre. Okay, it's like a marketplace. There's a Woolies, there's an Aldi, there's a Coles, there's a bunch of stores. And then when you exit, there's a roundabout. And if you turn right, it takes you onto the highway. And if you turn left, it takes you into suburbia and shops and more cafes and stuff. So as I'm exiting, what do I see? I see this guy. He's on the roundabout and he's just going around in circles. He's just doing his rounds. He's waiting for me to exit to figure out which way I'm going. So I was like, shit. He's there. He's trying to stalk me. He's still following me. So I'm like, all right, I've got to go the opposite direction because I can't take this guy to my house. So I turn right and I head onto the highway. And again, he's on my tail. And I'm speeding down the highway and he's following me. Not even joking, for 15 minutes he was following me until I got to a police station. So I took him all the way to a police station, then he disappeared. He ran away, obviously. Reported him. I was like, I'd like to report a case of stalking, please. This guy literally stalked me throughout the shopping centre and then he followed me down the highway. So anyways, they took his number plate because luckily I got a photo of his number plate. And a description and whatever, and they said that they'll follow up with it. So that's what they did today. They got all the CCTV footage from the shopping centre, and luckily they took it so seriously. But I just want to say, to females when shopping alone, you need to be hyper vigilant and hyper aware of your surroundings, because subhanallah, had this woman, may Allah reward her, if she had not noticed that this person was stalking me, I would literally have just been none the wiser. And I would have just left and gotten in my car and driven home, and this guy would have known my address, and who knows what sick intentions he had. Allahu Alam what his intentions were for me, but I strongly believe that this person had intended to follow me home and probably do something. Maybe break into my house later or just know where I live because he had sick intentions. So please, girls, like whenever you're shopping alone or like anywhere, wherever you are, even if you're at a cafe late at night or like anywhere, just be hyper vigilant of your surroundings because you really don't know who's lurking and what sick intentions people might have. That was honestly such a terrifying situation to be in. But alhamdulillah, I'm so grateful for the young woman at this particular Woolworths. I'm not going to say which Woolworths it was, but like if you see this, honestly, thank you so much. You may have just saved my life.
When I was in high school, I was stalked by a boy in my grade, and pretty much the entire time I was told that I was being overdramatic and he wasn't really stalking me. And this is the story of the time that I saw him in another state. A little bit of backstory is necessary. I had known this guy since like elementary school. He was sort of like widely ostracized. He was kind of weird. He was kind of like a stereotypical like nerd, I guess. Like if you were to imagine a nerd from a cartoon, it was like if that was brought to life. And he attracted a lot of bullying, and I always felt bad for him because as weird as he was always like pretty nice. There was like, he was annoying, I guess, but I didn't see him as being like malicious. And I always remembered one time my mom said about this kid, she said, it's really sad, kids like that, because even when you're a little bit weird, people will treat you weird and then you almost become weirder. So I always sort of had it in my head that I would try to treat everybody nicely, treat everybody the same with respect. And I always treated this kid as nicely as I could. We were never friends, but we were not like enemies, I guess. Well, in middle school, there was a camp that we had at our school, and I talked about this in a different video, but I extended myself to this kid in friendship and basically offered for him to come sit at our table. And that was like part of the camp. They were like teaching you to be nice and reach out to people. So I did that. And after I did that, he kind of like latched onto me for the rest of the camp and like was just like wouldn't really leave me alone. He was hanging out with me the whole time. And I thought like, oh well, no big deal. It'll just go back to normal when we go back to regular school. But it didn't. He came and would sit with us every single day. He figured out my class schedule and he would wait for me outside of my classes. He would know where I was going to be before school. He would know where I was going to be after school. He would go out of his way and disrupt his own schedule to make sure that he was going to be where I was going to be. I regrettably, like, you know, I was a 14-year-old or something, 13. I probably led him on, I guess, by not being more firm. But when I explained this to like my parents or my friends and I said like, hey, he's really obsessed with me, like he won't leave me alone, they were like, oh, he just likes you. Oh, don't be mean to him. And so I felt really, really bad, like to basically telling this guy to leave me alone. That being said, I was like not actively encouraging this. I was like going out of my way to avoid him. This was really like a seriously anxiety inducing prolonged event for me throughout the very end of middle school and into high school. I was like in a constant state of fear, basically, that I would run into him in public, that he would find me, and he never gave me any reason to believe that he would harm me. But when you look into stalker situations, like that's pretty much where it goes. So I was a little bit scared. And this particular kid had actually been suspended from our middle school for bringing a fake to school and threatening an administrator with it before. So like I said, nobody really took me seriously except for my middle school band director, because I sat next to this kid in band, and he stepped in and he basically told this kid, like, leave this girl alone. If I see you talking to this girl, like, it's over for you. So shout out to my middle school band director. You're like one of the only men who has ever protected me in my life. So anyway, I did eventually tell this kid, hey, you need to leave me alone. I'm not interested. And he would back off. He kind of acted like super wounded about it. And always he would find like a pretext to reinsert himself into my life, whether it was through band, because this was in middle school. We graduated middle school, went on to high school. We had a different band director. So now we sat next to each other in band again. And there wasn't all of this backstory. And I tried to explain the situation to the new band director, and he really blew me off. And so once again, I was sort of like back involved with this kid, and I looked like a jerk. Like if he would speak to me, like, what am I supposed to do in class? Like ignore him, give him the cold shoulder. Like, everybody kind of when, like I said, when I would complain about this to my friend, they would, like my friends, they would make me feel like I was really overreacting and like he was completely harmless and I should just kind of like play along, basically. Like some of them would honestly even encourage me to like maybe go out with him once or twice. But that being said, whenever he would come and sit at our table, they would be like, Kirsten, you gotta get this guy out of here. Like, what's he doing here? So fast forward to high school, I did summer school PE because I was an overachiever and I wanted to graduate at the top of my class, and the only way to do that was to get your PE credit out of the way because you couldn't do honors PE. So I did PE over the summer. Guess who is in my summer school PE class? I'm gonna give him a name now. We'll call him Aaron. Aaron is in my summer school PE class. So we're together every day, 4 hours a day for 4 weeks. Yay. Once again, I tell him, you need to leave me alone. Leave me alone. Don't talk to me. So he's leaving me alone during this summer school PE session. I overhear him speaking to some other kids and he says, yeah, my family is going to go on a summer trip to San Francisco. Well, I started freaking out because guess where my family was going on a trip to? San Francisco. So I go home from summer school PE. I start tweaking, telling my mom, Aaron's going to be in San Francisco. He's going to see me. He knew I was going to be there. He did this. Keep in mind, we're 14. I don't even know if like we had phones, you know, like there was really limited, this guy had limited resources to stalk me. He was a kid basically. And so rightly so, my mom was like, Kirsten, calm down. You're being ridiculous. He's 14. What's he gonna do? San Francisco is a giant city. He's probably not even going at the same time as we are. And even if he was, like, you're never gonna see him. So I'm like, okay, yeah, Kirsten is being ridiculous again. Of course, as always. She's right. I'll just calm down. It's no big deal. I do find out that we're going at the same time, but, you know, I'll listen to my mom. I'll just, whatever. I'll calm down. We go to San Francisco. We are there for a few days. No sightings of Aaron so far. We go to Chinatown. Our plan is to walk around Chinatown and go get dim sum. We go to the little, the fortune cookie factory, and we ask a lady that we speak to in the fortune cookie factory for a recommendation for a dim sum restaurant. She says, oh, you got to go to this one. It's here. You take this turn, this turn, this turn, and then you get there. We go, great, awesome. We walk to this dim sum restaurant. Halfway on our walk there, this lady, I swear she appeared out of nowhere. The same woman who gave us the directions pops up and goes, wait, I'm so glad I found you. I gave you the wrong directions to that dim sum restaurant. You actually have to do this, this, and this. And we were go, wow, great. We get to the dim sum restaurant. We sit down, eat our dim sum. It was good, I assume. I don't know, because everything about that day was sort of eclipsed by this one event. We eat our dim sum. I'm sitting. My back is to the door. My mom is facing the door. And just as we pay the bill, my mom goes, oh my gosh, Kirsten, don't look behind you. And in the pit of my soul, I knew what was happening, and it was Aaron. Aaron and his parents had walked into the restaurant, and we get up to leave, and I turn around and we walked back, because this was like during a phase where he was not speaking to me because I had told him not to. And we walked past each other. We just made eye contact, and neither of us said anything to each other. Oh my gosh, it was the most harrowing moment of my life. I know that sounds ridiculous, but like, I really truly believe that he had like found me there somehow. I know that sounds crazy, but, and like his parents knew who I was, and they were probably like, what's going on? Like, why didn't they talk to each other? Because this kid was always telling his parents that like we were best friends. And I know that because this kid also went to the same hairdresser as me, because our moms went to the same hairdresser, and I would get my hair cut and she'd be like, Aaron was talking about you. And I'd be like, oh. And basically I could just never relax after that. I was like so sure that this guy was tracking my location. Like I said, I know that that's not possible, but let me know. What do you think? Do you think that that was genuinely like a random coincidence? Did God really do that to me? Or was he actually stalking me? I'm curious to know what you think.